Yes, hello, and welcome to Release the Creative, your favorite show about cognition, creativity, and this week, the only two questions that matter.
What flavor ice cream do you like, and is spaghetti a vegetable? That's a terrible question.
No, spaghetti's not a vegetable. Is hot dog a sandwich is a better question.
well, I'm trying to come up with something
Is hot
new.
dog a taco is a better question.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with something that's never been asked before.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure no one's ever asked if spaghetti's a vegetable.
Well, Congress or Senator, they did decide that pizza was a vegetable.
Well, it's tomato. They decided tomato counted as a vegetable.
And therefore pizza, yeah.
Which that's still a little bit too sensical of a question for me. So I need to go way out there.
No, it's funny. I was originally thinking about naming this episode "Love in the Time of COVID" as a joke off of "Love in the Time of Cholera."
Timely,
right? Exactly. And the whole point that joke was that Love in the Time of Cholera was written in 1885, I believe. It was originally in Spanish, and I'm going to not butcher the original title, which was Love in the Time of Cholera, but in Spanish.
In Spanish, okay.
It is it's a renowned book, and one of the things that if you start reading the Cliff Notes and the people love to really dig into the themes, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a sentimental romance novel. Sure, but then other people dig into it. Now, I am not a literary critic, and full disclosure, I've never read the book, nor the original, like in its original Spanish or in English. But I have listened to many people debate the intricacies of it. And in a lot of ways, right now, if you're looking at communications plans and communications and things online, it's similar. There's people like, well, you know, this is the system and this is how it works. This is how I built $1 million company. And this is right. Did you build it before COVID? Then it doesn't matter.
Clean slate, right?
Right. It's kind of crazy. We have this wild west going on right now. This number is several weeks old, but something like 13,000 empty apartments in New York City.
I'm sure it's still a large number, whatever it is.
Because NYU and Columbia students are like, screw that. I'm not going to pay for Manhattan if it's all remote schools. I'm going to stay in Iowa.
And if all the theaters are closed and most of the restaurants, living in Manhattan becomes less appealing.
So yeah, if everything worth living there for is gone, and all of and huge sections were students and things like that, and the people working in the theater and on the theater and around the theater, 13,000, again, weeks old number. Meanwhile, places like the Wall Street Journal and Time are saying that they may never go back to having insanely big flagship, they'll have little flagship offices, but right. They'll never bring back tens of thousands of people working in Times Square. They have now realized that they can work just fine without doing that. And whereas this isn't a communications thing, that means that now telework isn't as much telework as the standard. And unless you're working in a remote, like secure environment or a lab where you need certain facilities, that's really hard to say. Unless you need certain facilities or certain securities, remote work is going to very quickly become the standard, or already has been.
So there's, of course, back and forth, people like not commuting, but then also if you have your kids at home, like the office is actually a way to get away. So, but yeah, I've been seeing both ways where people are saying, well, I can't wait to go back, but also this is kind of nice. And I think a hybrid system's what's going to come out. It's like, hey, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, or some sort of compromise.
And it's kind of crazy. I've talked to a lot of people recently, just everything from different clients to other people to friends. And they're saying, I was getting ready to launch my X, Y, or Z. I'm getting ready to do this. I'm getting ready to do that. I'm just going to wait for the post-COVID. I'm going to wait for things to stabilize and get back to normal. I don't think that world exists. There is no post-COVID normal. There will be a post-COVID normal, but it will not be
the same as the old normal.
It will not. Things, of course, will stabilize, and they will find a new normal, but it will be a new normal. So waiting for the old rules to apply again, the old rules are dead. They're dead forever.
Yeah, I had a Zoom call this morning with a client, and it was 20 minutes, and she said, oh, yes, yet another meeting that didn't have to be a drive. And I said, yeah, there's been so many times where I've jumped on Zoom, and I was like, in the old days, that would have been a 2-hour, 45 minutes downtown,
sure.
Parking. I would have had to leave early to make sure, it would have been 2.5 hours out of my day to talk to this person for 20 minutes. And now it took 20 minutes. Am I going to want to go back to the old way?
And I you know me, I do a lot of I read body language very, very well, and I look at everything from where their feet are positioned to how they're sitting in their chair and everything. And I will tell you that Zoom makes that really, really hard.
Yeah, there's extreme disadvantages to Zoom, and I don't like starting new relationships on Zoom now. Like, I would always want to go meet a new client in person. But yeah, like, meeting number 3.
Oh yeah. At that point, we're just talking. We're not. Yeah. There's extreme disadvantages to virtual relationships in that there's just such a hurdle to get clean communications through. There's such a huge hurdle to get past, but I'm talking to so many entrepreneurs and small startups, and they're like, yeah, I was getting ready to do, but I've just got to wait for the world to get a little bit more X or a little bit more Y, and there is an absolute certain logic to waiting for the market to be ready. But waiting for things to go back to normal at this point, I think it's short-sighted because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're getting into our second year of clients are calling us about spring stuff now. And last spring was when they were scrambling to figure out what to do during COVID. And a lot of these calls are, well, I guess we're still going to do the same, so we got the vaccine out, people are optimistic, but at the same time, they're still planning for, the same plans as last year.
Right. No, I mean, it wasn't quite shut down yet. I mean, we're at about a year. Everyone knew what COVID was a year ago.
I think March was when we really
March is when it hit hard. But absolutely, and we suddenly had all our events, all our interviews, all of our work suddenly dry up because nobody knew how to react to it. And for the record, at that time, that was the right answer. You're like, everyone, take a breath, step away, make it safe. But we're to the point now that it's a year later, and the world has to move forward. And I'm not saying, forget it, go outside. I'm saying the world has to move forward, and the world will stabilize, but it will not stabilize back to the old rules. It will stabilize to the new rules that were set by the people that pushed them and made them the rules during this time. We're in the wild, wild west, and that's awesome. There are no rules. Like, I mean, you can hang a man for stealing your horse, and you're in the right. Not sure that it's a good thing, but you get my point.
So, yeah, it's an exciting time. That was the other thing we were talking about with my client this morning. We're working on a virtual event for next month, and she said, "Yeah, I'm still getting pushback in my organization. People are saying, well, we shouldn't do it this way, or I don't think this is a good idea." And she said, cool, I know some of you disagreed, but like, we're doing this now, so let's get on board.
Right.
But at the same time,
cute story, bro. So like,
yeah, at the same time, she's getting pushback, but also she's asking me lots of questions like, we've never done this before, so she has to go to her other coworkers and put on a brave face and be like, oh, this will be great. And then she comes to me and she's like, Jeff, what do we do? So it's kind of that fake it till you make it. She's making it up as we go, but she's got to put on that brave face to everyone and act like it's all perfect.
It's really funny. We were talking to our December client that we did a big conference here, and she was talking about how she had different people and different bids, going in and going out, and she's like, I'm trying to figure out who can be the best service provider. I was like, I wish you luck. I hope you go with us, which she did. I was like, and you can go with anyone, but I would avoid anyone who's submitting you a proposal saying, we do this all the time, it's no big deal. Run, they're lying. Because no one is doing what you're asking. And anyone who pretends like they are, walk away. And she ended up going up with us because the other people all pretend. They're like, oh yeah, we do this, it's no big deal. There's putting on a brave face, and then there's don't bullshit a bullshitter.
Yeah, she told us later, mid-job, she said, yeah, our first three meetings, we had three, meetings before she decided to hire us. She said, right. I remember in those meetings, there were several times I said, well, how are we going to do X, Y, or Z? And you just came out and said, I don't know, but I'll find out.
I was going to say, I have no idea. It's never been done before the way you're asking to do it. I'll figure it out.
And she said she found that very comforting because obviously there's things you don't know, and hearing you just admit it really made me feel like I was in good hands.
We talk about this on this show, and we've talked about it elsewhere about authenticity, and I hate the word. I hate it because I'm authentically a jerk. But I don't see the point. Other people lost the jobs because she said, but can we do this? They're like, of course, no big deal. Do it all the time. You're lying. Why would you lie about? no big deal, we'll figure it out. That's true. Like, anyway, not the point of this conversation, but we are now entering where the economy and the individual economies, not that I'm not an economist, I'm not talking about the global economy, but the individual economies of people have to eat, people have to work. We're to the point where we can't just not do anything anymore. So it's no longer a question of should we do X, Y, or Z. It's how can we do X, Y. It's not should we go to the grocery store. It's how can we go to the grocery store safely. You know, we all need to stay inside. We need to continue to socially distance, and we need to continue to do all of these things. For those that are critical of Jeff and I, we're the only humans we each other see. Like,
this is our life.
This is like our families and each other. It's like, this is the pod. If one of his family gets sick, pretty much I'm just going to die.
It's a 2-household bubble.
It's a 2-household bubble. But you need to stay home and you need to socially distance. But we're to the point now that it needs to stop being, should I launch my program? Should I start my class? Should I do my thing? We're past the point of should. It's been a year. We're now to the point of how. And that gets into, as we started at the beginning, of the only 2 questions that matter. Because right now, if you start talking to anyone, if you go on LinkedIn right now, I love LinkedIn so much, but talk about wild, wild west. It is carpetbagger. It is like everybody's a snake oil salesman on LinkedIn right now. That's right. You heard me. Everyone. And they're saying, well, I have a system that has been proven. No, it hasn't. It was proven before COVID. So now you have a pile of paper with writing on it. That's what you have. You have hopes, dreams, and glitter. That's what you have now. Everyone on LinkedIn, well, I'll sell you a system. Well, we have a proven track record of, no, you don't. You have an odometer of 0. That's what you have now. And what bothers me the most is the people who claim that's not true. Is they're like, no, it's not that different. It is different. And pretending that the world isn't completely sideways from what it was a year ago just means you're not looking at the world.
Mm-hmm. Was it Budweiser's not buying Super Bowl ads? I mean, we're in the end game now.
Wow. That is a red flag if ever there was one. Yeah. Like, the world is changing. And so right now there's all these, are you advertising on LinkedIn? Are you marketing on LinkedIn or YouTube? Or are you sending out your message? Or do you have a Kajabi page? Or are you launching your thing on social media? Is it a soft product? Is it a hard product? Is it retail? Is it package? All of these different things. And the channel maps have changed. And people are selling you yesterday's channel map. It's literally selling you the like yesterday's newspaper and calling it breaking news. Mm-hmm. But it's not yesterday's newspaper. It's like 3 years ago's newspaper. And that's terrifying. And everything keeps changing. The social medias keep changing. The channels keep changing. But there are 2 questions, and I'm being intentionally vague. There are 2 questions that from the beginning of mankind have not changed. Technology hasn't touched them. Nothing has touched them, and they're really simple. And they are these. First, who are you talking to? And second, what do you want them to do? If you can understand, and you can drill down, you can write doctoral dissertations on each of those questions on multiple layers. But if you understand who you're talking to and what you want them to do, then everything is negotiable. Mm-hmm. Those 2 things aren't.
So I just right off the bat, if I am talking to a gas station attendant or my 6-year-old daughter, those are very different conversations.
Right. And I mean, you can even make it more specific. If you're talking, if you're answering the same question, if you see a UFO in the sky while getting gas and your 6-year-old daughter goes, "Daddy, what's that?" and the gas station attendant goes, "What the hell is that?" both to you, you're not going to answer the same question to 2 discrete and distinct audiences the same way. You'll use different words. You'll probably use different tones. One of them, holy shit. The other one, nothing, sweetie. Nothing. Like,
I wouldn't call the gas station attendant sweetie.
That's probably a good, that's probably for the best. I mean, he might be a lovely individual, Jeff. We don't know. You're going to use different words. You're going to use a different tone.
Side tangent. Kira is exploring curse words now
nice.
that she doesn't know.
Okay.
So she has heard all about on the playground that there's a B word and an F word and an S word, but she doesn't know what any of the words are. And so she's been guessing if Samantha says something like anything that starts with a B, she'll ask, "Is that the B word?" And they're like, "No."
No, when I think Salem, who's my 13-year-old, when she was about that age, 6, came to us and goes, I know what the F word is. We're like, do you now? What's the F word? She's like, I'm not allowed to say it. I'm like, you know what? You won't be in trouble. Go ahead. Say the F word. She's like, no, that's a trick. It's like, no, I promise. You won't be in trouble. What's the F word? And she goes, fart. And I'm like, darn, you figured it out. That's it.
Yeah, Samantha did say, oh, fudge the other day, and Kira was pretty confident that was the F word.
Yeah, no. Answering the exact same question, like if your dad, if again, your 6-year-old daughter, if Kira said, Daddy, what do you do for a living? Let me know what you'd say, because I'm curious. What do you do for a living? And
I tell her I talk to people all day.
That's pretty true. / you're out on a first date with some woman that you are really vibing with, and she says, oh, so what do you do? / one day we're talking to a client, and they go, what exactly do you think you bring to the table here? It's the same question.
It's very different, yeah.
But you're not going, the way you explain your skill set to your daughter versus a potential suitor versus someone who very much knows what you do, but is curious how well you do it. You're going to use different words. So knowing who you're talking to, and the biggest problem with people on their website, on their blog, on their everything, they have no idea who they're talking to. It's not that the information isn't correct. You wouldn't lie to any of those 3 people, but you can read it and you're like, this is all over the place in tone. This is all over the place in it's all over the place, and it need not be. If you want it to be effective, you need to know who you're talking to, and then you need to know what you want them to do. If you want your daughter to not freak out at the, UFO hurling flaming cattle down on the town, you have an end goal. You have an end state in your head of this. I need to calm her down. I need to not have her see that. There's an end goal. Whereas if you're talking to the gas station attendant, same thing, you have a different end goal. We should run. Yeah,
I've found that the best websites are the ones that are pretty darn specific. I recall this was a couple of years ago. I don't know how famous this example is or not, but I knew of and saw there was a marketing firm in New York whose website was completely black, and it had some white, just blocky white text on it, and it had their name, and it said something like, if you're here, you've heard of our name, and you know who we are, and it had the contact number, and that was the entire website.
That's when you find out it was a sleeper cell for the CIA.
Yeah, maybe, but
jeez.
But I really admired that webpage, because it's like, no, if somebody has referred you, they were not going for widespread shotgun approach. They were, that website was just for people that had been referred to them. Yeah. By someone they trust. And like, what else do you need to know?
Yeah. No, and it's and then a lot of, who are you talking to? Then, so let's now take it one further and use the same person 3 different times. You're talking to your wife, your girlfriend, your significant other, a person you want to be, your potential suitor. If you're talking to them while sitting on the couch, snuggling and watching Murder, She Wrote, that's right, I'm 85. Versus if you're walking through the mall together shopping back before COVID, versus you are at a work party function surrounded by peers, same question, same story, same piece of information to the same audience this time. Again, you're going to tell that story differently. The way that you tell it in a casual environment will emphasize different things. The tone will be weird. It will be one thing, whereas it will be completely different at a work party.
So this is what's shifting. Like you said, at the mall, pre-COVID is what you added on there. But now what used to be at the mall is with someone over Zoom, or right. Or it's changed. Right. So the rule stays in place, but right. what this all means is shuffled.
No, and so that's why the channel vernaculars change all the time. The way you communicated on Facebook in 2007 is not the way you communicated on Facebook in 2017, and it's definitely not the way you communicate on Facebook in 2021. Mm-hmm. It's just channel languages change all the time. Channel opportunities change all the time. Channels themselves change all the time. What does not change, it's as old as cognition and communication, is who are you talking to and what do you want? If you're talking to your fellow caveman and you want his help, like going and killing the Tyrannosaurus Rex over there and dragging the meat home, you need to know you're talking to him and not a child, and you need to know who are you talking to and what do you want them to do. And people try to overcomplicate this. They try to make it bigger than that. No, it's really, yes, no, the channel complicates it, and yes, the time of day complicates it, and yet there's 101 things that you can twist. But so last night, I've already told you a little bit about this. I was on a meeting for an hour and a half I was on an hour and a half Microsoft Teams meeting last night. It was the third meeting in this series about this video that I'm creating for this organization. And I had seen version 1 of the script. I had been really, really, really critical of version 1 of the script. Very nicely, but definitively. And
you're on this call. You're talking to the higher ups who are in charge here.
So imagine, I am me at Glass River Media, and it was basically the C-suite. I wasn't talking to like Janet in accounting. I was talking to the C-suite, 3 members of the C-suite, and we're talking these 3 guys, and I get on this call, and they spent 35 minutes explaining the brilliance of the second version of their script. They spent 35 minutes, literally, it's a real number. I didn't say one word for 35 minutes in a meeting that was for me. Spent 35 minutes without them making, I'm terrified they'll see this / kind of hoping they do. They didn't make one cogent thought in 35 minutes. They explained their brilliance. They explained why their system would work. They explained why every line and piece of information in the script was essential. And we got to 35 minutes. They said, okay, Kirk, what do you think of version 2? And I said, who are you talking to? They're like, what do you mean? I was like, who are you talking to? You. No, in the script. And they still didn't know. I was like, at the end of the video that we are making for you, at the end of this 10 minutes, it's a long video, what do you want them to do? And he's like, well, we want them to know what we do. I was like, that's it? This is an awareness campaign? You want anyone listening to be aware. Okay, that's an answer. I don't think that's the actual answer. He's like, no, it's senior leaders within the organization. It's a video for senior leaders within the organization. I was like, okay, so it's internal. Cool. That's good news. That just limited it from 7 billion people down to 2,500 people. That's I'm awesome.
We're getting closer.
We're getting closer. And at the end of this, what do you want them to do? And still, it took me an hour. These men are C-suite, 7-figure, big deal guys. And getting them to, who are you talking to? Leave the channel map up to me. Leave the wording up to me. Leave all the crap you don't care about up to me. The 2 questions I cannot answer for you. Who are you talking to? And what do you want them to do? And finally, by the end of it, we had come to a conclusion that I'm going to write the script, which I love how I volunteer myself for more work. Because I went back and forth with them on email again this morning where I said, here's the path I'm going to take. And they corrected me and they said, well, that's not the problem. That's not this. That's not that. And I was like, you in this email in 3 sentences made more concise sense than you did in your entire script. I'm going to get myself in so much trouble saying stuff like this. But I can't deal with, earn your paycheck. If you are the leader of groups, be able to, who are you talking to? And what do you want them to do? And it's amazing to me because I've had this conversation with almost every client for the last year, and the amount that it blows some of their minds. They're like, oh, yeah.
Your phone call last night is also like the shoot we had earlier this week. Totally different video, but we were interviewing someone who was not the client. The client
sent them to us.
Sent a subject matter expert.
Yep.
And this guy was great. Like,
oh, he was so good.
Some people on camera are, not really well spoken. Like, he spent half an hour just like laying it all out, explaining what he does and why it's great, and like all the amazing, wonderful things his organization is doing. And it was fantastic. And at the end, I said, that's awesome. I said, I need you to give me like 10 seconds, like just really, really short. We need to explain what the problem is.
Right.
What like we're going to start the video by saying and the problem's COVID. We need to start the video being like, hey, COVID kind of sucks. And like, then we explain how you're fixing it. And
he couldn't do it.
As well-spoken as he was, he couldn't do a 10 seconds of what the problem is because his brain
was so solutions-based.
He wants to talk about the awesome ways he's going to fix it. Every answer he
within
did
5 words, with every answer very quickly pivoted.
It was like, well, as COVID approaches, we're going to take the approach of blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. Like, we already have that quote. We just need you to say, the world sucks. That's it.
Yeah.
And problem solvers can't not solve the problem, but you have to define the problem, which I know that these people all did initially. You can't, They can't do the solution, but once they have the solution.
And the video you're talking about now, and again, for all sorts of confidential reasons, we can't talk about what these are because we work with innovators. Like most of our clientele is people in innovation spaces. So there's all sorts of things in place, but these people aren't stupid. I'm not trying to make anyone like that C-suite. None of those men were stupid. One of those men was an MIT graduate, like literally an MIT graduate.
All of these skills serve them so incredibly well in what they do day to day. It's in the marketing and communication of it that it doesn't serve them.
I mean, and so something that I started doing over the last year as well is that I start every interview with this particular types of clients saying, you're a very smart individual and you have unbelievable technical skill. So I need you to talk to me like I'm your third grader and tell me a story. I want you to make this a story. I don't want facts and figures. I don't want you to use a number. I want you to make this make sense and be exciting to a third grader. And they look at me like like I'm crazy because they're like, but this is strong and important stuff. I'm like, right. And your third grader needs to know that. Like the human brain has no ability to latch on to disassociate information. If I start spewing out facts and figures that are 100% accurate about quantum physics and quantum mechanics, unless you're a physicist watching this show, you have no architecture. By knowing who you're talking to, you know what architecture they have, and you know what architecture you need to build. And by knowing what you want them to do, you know how to push that architecture around. If you're talking to a third grader and she looks up in the sky and says, Daddy, what is that? You know the architecture in her head to a degree. You are able to say, oh, well, that's just an airplane, or you're able to give her the information that is relevant to her, viable to her, and actionable. If you need to explain something complex, you know how to build to get to that point because of who you're talking to. Whereas if you're talking to your boss, you can be like, what do you even do in this team, carpenter? You can be like, well, as you know, on the Smurdlap account, sir. Like, if you started it with your wife or your daughter, that would not go well. The human brain has no ability to latch on to disassociated information. So the first thing you have to understand is what is the architecture you're dealing with, so you can hang that Christmas light on a branch and not just throw it. Because that's just going to shatter and break glass.
It's like for those of you who live in the DC area, and this is probably true for every city, but our particular version of this is the further you get away from home, the question is, where are you from, becomes less precise. Yeah. So if someone from Virginia says, where are you from? I say, oh, I live in Springfield, I work in Woodbridge. If someone from New York says, where are you from? I say, oh, just outside of DC. Yeah. If someone from San Diego says, where are you from? I just say DC.
What's really funny is, and I honestly, there are probably other cities like this, but I really do think that the DC area is unique, because when I was living in Los Angeles, all the time, where do you live? Same thing. In Los Angeles, there'd be neighborhoods. But all the time I'd hear people like, where are you from? Chicago. Oh, South Side. Cool. And it'd be done quickly. It'd be like, oh, I'm South Side of Chicago, Elgin, or West Side of Chicago, Elgin. Cool. It was done. Every once in a while, every couple months, I'd run from someone from here, and I'm like, where are you from? They're like, DC area. Oh, cool, me too. What part? Northern Virginia. Oh, cool, me too. What part? Oakton. Oh, cool, me too. What part? Like, I mean, it just... Yeah, you narrow the Fairfax County. Oh, what part? Oakton. Cool, I'm from Springfield. And we were like, got it. But like, that question, oh, cool, me too, what part, goes down like 7 layers here.
Yeah, so there's a lot of... that struck me as one of the few times when you're figuring that out as you're talking to someone. Yeah. But that sort of scalability is true for every subject. Like you said, your daughter or your boss. Well, there's like 30 steps between there.
Absolutely. And like I said, even once you know the architecture of the person you're talking to, that's when channel starts to matter. Are you talking to your boss over a beer at the company Friday night mixer, or are you talking to your boss in a meeting where he's saying, explain this to me? Or are you talking to your boss like just at the water cooler? Same story, same information. You would present it differently because channel matters. Now, I will admit, channel is the hard one right now because it's
the one that's changing the most frequently.
It's changing the most frequently, and with the highest iteration, you have to stake your claim and just start screaming at the top of your lungs.
And right now, Kirk is a TikToker and I am a Redditor, and that speaks very poorly to both of us. But
it does. Poor decision making.
We bounce off of each other in the morning, like, oh, did you see this? Did you see that? And it's interesting to see some of the internet trends that transcend the channel, and we're like, oh, everybody's talking about this. And then there's some other things where like I told Kirk a meme joke like 3 months ago. I just said a thing off the top of my head, and he's like, what? And I was like, what? You don't you know that? And then last week he texted me. He's like, I saw it on TikTok.
It took 3 months, and there are other times he'll come in and be like, oh my gosh, I saw a TikTok on Reddit. It's different. He's like, I saw a TikTok on Reddit. I'm like, yeah, Jeff, that's like super old. Like, that's like 7 trends ago.
So even amongst channels, there's like these clouds of trends that sort of drift through. It's like storms, and like sometimes the thunderstorm covers both, and sometimes it's raining on one side of the road and not the other.
Well, I mean, it's really funny is back when I was doing so for a year or so, I did 3 pieces of LinkedIn content a week, and I worked very hard on those. And one that I wrote but never got to do because I wanted to do it really, really well is I wanted to do a social media report like a weather report. Like this week on social media, we have a high pressure front of memes coming from we have a high meme front coming through Reddit.
We should look up. Is that a YouTube channel? That should be already, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I want to do a 90-second truly in depth. We're having a high meme front coming from Reddit towards the TikTok, while we have some there's going to be high temperatures, and it seems like it would be funny, but I haven't written it out entirely yet. But it's amazing to me the number of times. Well, they go, well, I don't want to exclude my audience. And I was like, you won't. Your audience is your audience. You can't exclude them. It's not about excluding someone. It's about knowing who they are. It's about understanding the difference between an audience and a key public, because a key public is not the same thing. Now, you and I have worked together for a long time. Can you tell me the difference between an audience and a key public?
No.
This is not a real I mean,
I know you've told me before, and I could guess, but no, I've forgotten.
Audience is typically more broad, and there are probably PR people listening going like that. He described that terribly. But so if I own an airline, if I'm the CEO, Oscar Munoz is United, I believe. If I run an airline, my audience is airline travelers, like people who travel in the air. But key publics are specific psychographics. So like business traveler.
Yeah.
Business traveler, family vacationers. And if I'm trying to speak to airline travelers, that's really broad. But if I'm trying to sell 5-person tickets to Orlando versus the shuttle to New York City from DC, I'm going to approach that conversation very differently.
Yeah.
Get away for the weekend. 5-person passes to Orlando right now, $299. What versus don't you just hate? You're talking to a different psychographic. It's not a different audience. It's a different mindset. When I go to the airport, 99% of the time, I am going to work. Lots of people out there, they are only going to the airport when they are going on vacation or to a funeral.
Yeah, no, I haven't done a lot of flying recently, but the trip to Dulles Airport for vacation and for work, might as well be different buildings. Like I don't even recognize the place. Like what, if I'm on a business trip and I have my Pelican case with my camera and I'm taking the tripod and I'm checking in with the Uber already before, versus I'm trying to keep my daughter's shoes on her feet. Right. Like that's like I'm not even in the same headspace.
You're not. And what's fun about cognition is that if I'm trying to talk to one of those Jeffs while you're the other one, you literally won't see it. And people are like, oh, you mean figuratively? No, I mean literally. Your brain has an amazing filter of this is not relevant at the moment, F you. And you won't see it.
Yeah.
You won't see it. Your brain filters it out as Kira's shoes are off. That's what I need to worry about. And they've done unbelievably cool and startling tests to show that when you're focused on one thing, just how much you're willing to completely ignore. There's some really cool, Google them, how many times, have you seen the test of how many times did they pass the basketball?
Is that video thing where you watch and then there's like something happens in the background?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, how many times pass the basketball? The answer is 7. Except you count the 7, you miss that a literal gorilla walks through the camera, because when your brain hyperfocuses, it ignores irrelevant data. Not the point. The point here is that who are you talking to? People are like, oh, I'm talking to my customers. Okay, who are your customers?
Anyone?
Anyone with money? Wrong answer. Well, I own an airline, so anyone who needs to get on a plane. Still the wrong answer, because there's different reasons to need to get on a plane. Are you trying to, you know, corner the bereavement market? Like, hey, if you need to get somewhere for a funeral or a bedside confession, we're your airline. That is a very specific public, and there's a way to speak to them, and there's a place to speak to them, and there's a channel to speak to them. Lots of that's in flux. But back to the name of the episode. The two things that so many people get so deep into their comms plan, they're to the point that they're calling us and spending tens of thousands of dollars, and they're like, yeah, we have a $35,000 budget and we're gonna do this whole campaign. I was like, great, who are we talking to? And they don't know. Who are you talking to, and what do you want them to do? If you can't answer those two questions, nothing else downstream of it matters. It's just writing me a check to put braces on my kids. Like, there's no purpose to it.
There's no there.
There's no there. I like that.
So everything's changing. Get out there and do it, but know who you're talking to.
Right. The coolest thing about living in the wild, wild west is that you get to be the one to be the cattle baron if you stake your claim. Or you can show up and wait for the system to stabilize, and you'll be the guy getting their water dammed and not, you know, having no grazing land. Really bad analogy here. But so stake your claim, hit it hard, know who you're trying to talk to.
Sounds good. Well, join us next week, and we will see you then.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us here at Release the Creative. Kirk here would never say it to your face, but he thinks you should like and subscribe to us on YouTube.
And Jeff is far too shy to admit it, but he thinks you should subscribe to us on your favorite podcast reader.
Yeah? Well, you're the one who's always saying that everyone should give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts.
Why do you have to make everything so difficult?